Hey y'all, it's Crystal with MrsHappyHomemaker.com and welcome to my kitchen. So today I'm going to show you how to make one of my most favorite, most versatile, no yeast bread recipes. On my blog I have it titled Cheesy Buttermilk Herb Bread, but when I say it's versatile, it's versatile. So if you don't have buttermilk, you can switch out the buttermilk for regular milk. If you don't have the herbs that's called for, or you don't like the flavors of it, you can switch them out for any other kind of seasonings that you like. And the cheese, if you don't have the cheese that's called for, you can switch it out with whatever kind that you want or are craving, or you don't even have to add cheese at all. You can just add a couple of tablespoons of extra flour and just proceed from there. So let's get started. First, you're gonna preheat your oven at 350 degrees, which I already have done. To my bowl, I'm gonna add 2 1/4 cups of self-rising flour. If you don't have self-rising flour, you can switch it out for all-purpose flour, but add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of baking soda, a teaspoon of black pepper, and a half a teaspoon of salt. This is where you can start getting versatile with this recipe. On my blog, I call for 1/3 cup of fresh parsley, along with some garlic powder and some Italian seasoning and some Parmesan cheese and cheddar cheese to flavor it up. But you can switch it out for whatever kind of seasonings that you have on hand or that you feel like adding to it at the time, and the same thing with the cheeses. So I can't get any kind of fresh parsley right now with what's going on in the world. Can't get the grocery store, so I've got dried parsley. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of dried parsley to this. About that much. And the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. Well, I don't have that on hand right now either. I can't believe I ran out of Italian seasoning. So I'm gonna use some Parmesan pesto sprinkle from the savory spice shop that I have in my pantry that needed to be used. And you can use any seasonings that you want. So I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of this seasoning. You can use Italian seasoning like I call for on my blog, or you can use any other kind of seasoning that you feel like. Now I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. And now for the cheeses. In the original recipe, I call for 8 ounces of cheddar cheese. I'm using a cheddar blend because it's what I have on hand. And hey, this is quarantine cuisine at this moment. And I call for 5 ounces of shredded Parmesan cheese. Don't have any shredded, but I've got some grated. So I'm gonna estimate about 5 ounces here. Oops, it's coming out in little chunks here, so I need to break that up. It's all right, my hands are clean. And also, I'm eating this and not y'all. So if you have an issue with me like touching the food and me eating it later, you might wanna turn it off because I touch my food when I mix it together and stuff. And now I'm just gonna mix this all together. Now I'm gonna add in 2 beaten eggs, along with 3 tablespoons of olive oil, and 1 1/4 cups of buttermilk. And if you don't have any buttermilk, you can use regular milk too. Now this should be a wet batter, but it should be a pretty thick batter. So almost like a drop biscuit consistency. So if you have switched things out and it's not this consistency, you can just add a couple tablespoons more flour just to thicken it up and you'll be good to go. One of my favorite variations of this is bacon, sharp cheddar cheese, and green onions. Yum. I have sprayed my loaf pan with non-stick cooking spray, and I am just going to scoop my batter into the pan. All right, I'm gonna pop this in the oven at 350 degrees for about 45 to 50 minutes. Y'all, how good does that look? And let me tell you, it smells so good in here too. All right, so it has cooled off. I'm gonna flip it upside down on my cutting board. Perfect. Yum. And I'm gonna slice her on up. I wish y'all could smell this because it smells like Red Lobster biscuits up in here. Look how pretty. A little crusty piece. This bread comes out perfect every single time. You can flavor it so many different ways. It's super easy. You don't need any kind of yeast to make it. It's all around a win-win. So head over to my blog, MrsHappyHomemaker.com, to check out this recipe and many more. And you can follow me on social media too. Mrs. Happy Homemaker on Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. But I'm that housewife on Twitter because Mrs. Happy Homemaker wouldn't fit.